Good afternoon, everyone.
And good afternoon, Ben Joravsky Show listeners. We are live. How's it going, everybody? Live stream chat. What is happening? Let's get today's show underway. Your Ben Joravsky Show for Thursday, January 7th is moments away, but we need to thank the Chicago Reader. Ben, I can kind of hear a bit of an echo when I'm talking. Maybe is there an adjustment you can make on your headphones, possibly?
Headphones?
Yeah. Maybe the volume's down, up a little bit.
I haven't changed it since yesterday.
All right, we'll deal with it after the show. Today's show brought to you by the Chicago Reader. Check out chicagoreader.com for all things there is to know about the city of Chicago. chicagoreader.com. Subscribe to the Chicago Reader as well, and thanks as always to the Chicago Reader for hosting the Ben Joravsky Show. And today's program is brought to you by our good friends at the Chicago Federation of Labor. Time for your song of the day. And, oh, how apropos from Frank, I Walk the Line by Johnny Cash.
Oh, man. I walk the line. I forget the words. But I remember the guitar riff.
Do you?
No, that's Flaming Hills of Fire. I went down. I got my... Uh-oh. This has never happened before.
Yeah.
It's like two songs short-circuiting coming into one.
And you said Flaming Hills of Fire. It's Burning Ring of Fire.
Oh, little mister, I know Johnny Cash. Oh. Yeah, but wait, what was the one he wanted me to do? Down. And oh, no, I Walked the Line. Boom.
Well, that was something. The Ben Joravsky Show starts now. It is Thursday, January 7th, and live from my apartment and his attic, this is the Ben Joravsky Show. Today on the program, Jacqui Algee of SEIU. And now your host, Chicago Reader columnist Ben Joravsky.
Hello, everybody. Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this the morning after Thursday, and here's why. Frank, you should have had me sing that song. There's got to be a moment. Anyway, what a shit show that was yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. I am still processing it as I sit here, and let me just recap the moment. Several thousand MAGA-loving Trump freaks get fired up by a Donald Trump speech, march to the Capitol, surge past the police, break through the doors, smash windows, wander around the Senate floor, take over Nancy Pelosi's office, sit in Nancy Pelosi's chair, put their feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk, chase a cop down a hallway, carry Confederate flags through the Capitol, replace the American flag with the Trump flag, put their MAGA cap on Gerald Ford's head, well, not the real Gerald Ford, but a statue of Gerald Ford, and somehow or other in the middle of it, 4 people died, including a woman who was shot. And this is all going on while I'm doing the live show. And Dennis and I are talking about local news. Will the schools open? Suddenly it just, didn't seem as important as it had seemed when the show began. And of course, I wasn't aware of any of this. I wasn't aware of this insurrection going on at the Capitol. I wasn't aware that Donnie had turned his little MAGA-loving Trump freaks loose. No. I'm doing my show. I'm zoomed in on my show. But I know something's going on in the world. Thanks to the wonders of Google Meet, I could see it on my computer screen. I could see it in the faces of Dennis, and then later Monroe Anderson, who was my guest. And imagine this, folks. Imagine if you're watching something horrific, something calamitous, like think 9/11. Well, imagine you're absorbing it through the reactions of someone else. You can't actually see it. You could just see the look of disbelief in Monroe's eyes, or Dennis's, oh my God, what the hell is going on expression. That was someday. I don't think I'll ever forget it. Looking at my screen, seeing Dennis just focused on his screen with his eyes open and like, oh my God. And then Monroe, his eyes glued to the TV, the sound was down, but he was still trying to engage me. in conversation. I'm like, something's going on here. I don't know what it is. And of course, as soon as my show was over, I bolted over to my boob tube, just like all the rest of you, to watch it in real time.
By the way, boob tube, millennials, is a television.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that translation, Dennis. I appreciate that.
Our podcast host, ladies and gentlemen, using the word boob tube.
Hold on. It's not COVID. She's coughing. Hold on, D. It's not COVID. Just a little coughing. Excellent job with the water today. Where was I? Oh, yes. I bolted over to my boob tube to watch it in real time, and just like the rest of you, I was up until the wee hours watching the coverage of the Senate and Congress as they debated the issue. By the way, just so everybody knows, yeah, I got bootleg, boob tube, no cable, so I'm flipping back and forth between Lester Holt and George Stephanopoulos, and I got to give George Stephanopoulos a little credit here, D. You know, we make fun of him a lot in his show because he got Rahm Emanuel and Chris Christie. You know, heck of a job on the guests there, George. But when it comes to crunch time and a disaster, the guy's like a machine. I don't know, D, did you watch him at all? Did you watch Stephanopoulos? He's just so unfazed. He just switches from one guest to another. He just like these perfect seamless transitions. You know, that's tough to do. I've tried that a few times. It's really hard to do. Like, here's Dennis, there's Monroe, there's Jacqui, there's Billy Bob, there's Pat, and they just keep shuffling in, and he's just sitting there like a computer is going on in his head. And it's also like, dude, it's like you're not shaving or anything. You've been on the air for, I don't know how many hours. They must have had breaks. Shave him or something like that. Anyway, then he brings on Rahm. I said all these nice things about him. What a joke. Come on, seriously, George Stephanopoulos. And Rahm's up there talking, it's time for the nation to heal. Dude, you're the last person we take advice on healing from. You left the city of Chicago a mess on the healing front. Ever heard of the Laquan McDonald video? Ever heard of that fiasco? I want to give a shout out to Senators Dick Durbin and Tammy Duckworth. Really proud of them. I thought they gave great speeches. And of course, they voted against those cockamamie objections. Mostly throughout the night, I was fascinated by the Republicans. I'm thinking, we just survived this beer hall pushed that was egged on by Donald Trump. Are they going to keep up the pretense that they seriously believe that there's something wrong with the election, as opposed to they're just playing the MAGA, which is fired up by a lunatic in the White House, is too cowardly to admit that he lost? It reminds me of that great Chris Rock joke from the late 90s. It's like when white people aren't around, black people are like, yeah, OJ did it, but only when white people aren't around. So I'm thinking a guy like Ted Cruz or Josh Hawley, senator from Missouri, when liberals aren't around, when Democrats aren't around, when they think they're all alone with just other MAGA senators, are they like, man, these QAnon dudes are really weird, huh? Can you believe that they believe the horse shit that Trump feeds them? I mean, I can't believe these guys really believe this election stealing nonsense. You know, I mean, I know even though they have no integrity, they have no soul, and they're just complete waste of times, they are like, I don't know, smart. I mean, they went to Ivy League schools. They must have at least scored high on the SATs or something. I mean, they got to know this is horseshit, right? Just a bunch of BS that Trump and Giuliani made up. I guess they're like in for a nickel, in for a dime. Might as well go down with the ship. I did note, you probably did, the change in rhetorical tone between the hearings, the Senate meetings before the insurrection and after the insurrection. Before the insurrection, I saw this on video recordings of the earlier speeches of Ted Cruz. They're all fired up and yelling, people need to know. They're imitating their Donnie Trump. And this is where the Republican Party has decided it's got to go. Like Donald Trump is now the example they want to fire. So you just like be really nasty and mean, say stupid stuff and yell, try to get the rabble all fired up. But after the insurrection, there was a change in the rhetorical tone. You know, they were put on their somber voices. This is a tragic day. And I want to thank the Capitol Police for saving us. And yet now I'm going to perpetuate the very bullshit that led this to being such a tragic day. because I don't have the integrity to admit that I'm pandering to the mob, so I'll just continue to pander to the mob, but I'll just change the tone of my voice to make it seem like I'm really concerned about the mob and its rioting. At least Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham flip. That was pretty amazing. You might say that Lindsey Graham has done a 180, but it's really a 360. Follow me on this one, folks. Back in 2016, when his good friend John McCain was around, he was hating on Trump. And John McCain died, and he started loving Trump. They were golfing just last week. Now he's against him again. He's like me and Michael Madigan, D. First I'm on the bus, then I'm off the bus. I've been on the bus on and off so many times I can't even keep up. Now, Lindsey Graham is like, Joe Biden is our president. And he stands back all proud like he's Abraham Lincoln. You know, like, yeah, man, I said it. I'm such a courageous guy. Dude, could have used that courage a month ago. Would have saved us a lot of trouble. Mitch McConnell. I'm just really wondering what motivates Mitch McConnell. He got up there and he said that he could not stand for this nonsense, this pretense that somehow the election was stolen when we all know it wasn't stolen, and we all know, everyone, even MAGA knows somewhere in the back of their brain that they're just reciting bullshit. Anyway, Mitch McConnell said he just can't go along with it. I'm wondering, is he doing this because he truly believes that having Congress overturn the will of the people is dangerous to democracy, which it is? Or is he like Justice John Roberts and he realizes that if the Republicans are to survive as a party, they cannot follow MAGA off of the cliff? Or is it that he just hates Donald Trump so much because it really was Donald Trump that lost those 2 Senate races in Georgia? Or is it a combination of all three? Well, I suppose I shouldn't care so long as he did the right thing. I guess we could say that about the country as a whole. Who cares about our motivations so long as we're all doing the right thing in the face of a mob? We got a great show today, everybody. Jacqui Algee will be here from SEIU Healthcare. We'll be talking about, oh my goodness, definitely be talking about what went down yesterday, trying to give you some perspective on it. We'll talk about the elections in Georgia. We'll talk about the Women's March. We'll talk about 4 years of Donnie Trump. What's next for lefties, liberals, progressives, labor. You know, it's that coalition. I know a lot of my liberal friends are like, oh, you're really uncomfortable with unions.
Oh, which friend was that you were doing an impression of?
Just everybody on the north side.
Okay.
But come on, guys. You need the unions. Without the unions, you wouldn't have lost Wisconsin. You wouldn't have lost Michigan, liberals. But they're so mean, those teachers. Anyway, Jacqui Algee will be here. A lot of political talk ahead of us. Before we do that, the young man from Alton, the man that Jacqui Algee fondly calls the doctor with the news.
She's never called me that. Doogie, I agree. That was a great desk bang this afternoon. Good job, Ben.
Good in that it was loud, or good that I handled it so nuanced?
Well, there's a new way of judging it now because I've learned that when you hit the table, your camera just flipping flops everywhere. And it didn't fly all over the place. So all in all, a great table bang this afternoon. Good job.
Thank you. By the way, you notice that I'm looking more tan than I have been. I was up all night with the tanning lamp.
Obviously, you're joking.
Yeah, Casper the Ghost here doing the show. I'm a friendly ghost.
Oh, yeah, you are. And since you brought it up, I must ask. You on or off the bus, man?
Oh, wait. Was I on the bus or off the bus?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
Okay. One more time. If I'm on the bus, that means I want him out. If I'm off the bus, I'm with him, right? Yeah, I'm on the bus. But wait till we get to the news. I may flop off that bus when we start reading about some of these Illinois Republicans. So I could be off the bus before the show's over. Just saying.
And, of course, the bus being the bus waiting to roll over our Illinois Speaker, Mike Madigan. All right, let's talk about what's happening in Chicago and or Illinois this afternoon. So about yesterday, right now, in my face, the thoughts and reactions of our elected leaders here in Illinois. Thoughts and reactions on yesterday when fervent Trump supporters derped along D.C. and stormed the Capitol. Shout out to Shia Kapos and Illinois Politico. Subscribe to it, everybody. It's a great source for Illinois news. Let's read the thoughts and reactions here. First up, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. Governor Pritzker, along with, and hey, Jim Oberweis, hold your ears. Re-elected Congresswoman Lauren Underwood are joining a call for Donald Trump to be impeached and removed from office after Wednesday's siege on the nation's capital by the president's supporters. Pritzker said in a statement, quote, 2 weeks is too long for Donald Trump to remain in office, where he can continue to incite more untold violence. Pritzker called for redeploying Illinois State Police and other law enforcement resources at government buildings in the Capitol in Springfield. There are reportedly discussions among senior government officials about invoking the 25th Amendment to remove Trump from office. In a separate statement, Lauren Underwood said, quote, "Our democracy is at stake, and we cannot wait until Inauguration Day to see him removed from office. It must be immediate."
A little shout out to Lauren Underwood. Again, she's got more constraints than, let's say, I don't know, somebody in Chicago, a politician in Chicago, elected official in Chicago. Easy. It's easy for me to say, get out of office, Donnie. I mean, I'm not, I don't have to worry about MAGA voters. But Lauren Underwood, as we know, just eked out a victory over Jim Oberweis. A lot of MAGA voters in her neck of the woods, and yet she's standing up to say, do the right thing. And give, of course, and Pritzker's much the same. I mean, we talk all the time about all the Pritzker sucks signs throughout the state of Illinois, not just downstate, everybody. Geography lesson, upstate as well. There's downstate Chicagoans, downstate in Rockford.
And I never mentioned, I went downstate for New Year's Eve, and I saw a Pritzker sucks truck decal.
Come on, enjoy my convoy. That's the truck sound. Yeah, so there's a lot of Pritzker sucks signs, truck decals. So when he takes a stand, he's taking a stand. So, but Lauren Underwood, that's pretty bold because, like I said, she's got to deal with MAGA. You know, a lot of these Dems who are in those purple districts, they're like, well, you know, can't we all just get along? The guy just incited an insurrection. In fact, can I just give a shout out, D? I never thought I'd see this on the front page of the Chicago Tribune. I'm going to show all our listeners the front. Oh, wait a minute. We're just audio. But here, I can show Dennis. Dennis can see it. And
show those listeners that newspaper, huh?
Thank you. And later on this year, we will be back to video. People didn't believe it when I said January 1st. I will have a camera to prove you wrong, okay? And also, we're going to cut a deal with CTI. I didn't tell you this, D. They're going to shut down the Brown line while we're doing the live.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah.
I'll look forward to those emails.
yeah. Sorry, Rom. You're just going to have to do another job between 1 and 3. Anyway, here's what the Tribune headline: Insurrection at Capitol. 1 dead amid chaos incited by Trump. Man, I know they didn't run that headline past the editorial board. That headline, that must have been some like hippie freak in the headline writing department who stuck that one in and then went back and started smoking his doobie. That's a great headline because it was chaos incited by Trump. And the New York Times had the same thing. Trump incites mob. That's its headline. In fact, I took a picture of this and I sent it to all our guests so they knew what we were going to be talking about today. I sent it to Jacqui, Algee, and JT. Just going to tell you, JT, Jeanette Taylor, will be here at 4 o'clock for a bonus interview. We'll drop over the weekend. Anyway, I sent it to her as well. Trump incites mob. That's what went down yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. You want to ignore it? You want to avoid it? You want to put your head in sand? You want to pretend it didn't happen? We'll get into some politicians doing that. So it's absolutely incumbent upon elected officials, if they're just going to have any kind of integrity, a shred of integrity, if Mitch MCConnell can do it. I just saw this before we went on the air. Mitch MCConnell's wife, who is quit the cabinet. I was hoping she would stay on the cabinet because then her vote could have counted toward removing Trump from office if Pence was to invoke the 25th Amendment. I doubt very seriously that's going to happen, because it's very important to remember MAGA still controls the Republican Party, and Trump still controls MAGA. Donald Trump convened an assemblage of true blue MAGA fanatics wearing their anti-Semitic shirts and carrying their Confederate flags and with their guns and their weaponry. And he said, go take the Capitol. And they took the Capitol. They did what he told them. He was the leader of that insurrection. So Republicans who ignore that, it's like, okay, you're going along with it. You're still too chicken to confront the mob mentality in MAGA. And I put this in the newsletter I wrote for the Reader the other day, and it's so true. It reminds me so much of what went down in Chicago in 1983, when so many white aldermen joined Eddie Verdoliak and Eddie Burke's coalition against Harold Washington because they were too chicken to stand up to the racists in their wards who could not stand the fact that a black man was running the city. It is the same thing. It's like you see the mob and you could like take a stand against the mob, even if you lose your seat, or you can join them. Too many Republicans are joining the mob. So I got to give Pritzker credit, because he's got to run statewide. He's already got Pritzker's suck signs and truck decals he's got to deal with. I give Lauren Underwood credit, because like clearly like close to 50% of her district loves Donnie, and she's got to run for a re-election. So it's good to see that these politicians are putting country ahead of their political futures.
Hey, there you go, J.B. Pritzker. Got a little shout-out today on the show, huh?
The enemy is you.
Oh, well, that wasn't necessary.
Hey, that was a little, but I can understand why I would say that, D, with that truck decal.
No, that guy was something else. He pulled up in his big old giant truck. Pritzker sucks decal.
Did he have a mask?
Oh, of course not.
Okay, just asking.
Of course not.
Whoops.
Oh, my. Are you okay?
Yeah, it's just I dropped something. So good.
Okay, more comments from our Illinois elected leaders about yesterday. While speaking on the Senate floor last night, Illinois Democratic Senator Dick Durbin accused Trump of purposely inciting violence. At the Capitol, he said was, quote, desecrated by a mob invited to come by this president on this day to disrupt the constitutional process. After returning to the floor, Democratic Senator and veteran Tammy Duckworth said, quote, I've spent my entire adult life defending our democracy, but I never thought it would be necessary to defend it from an attempted violent overthrow in our nation's own Capitol building. We have comments here from newly elected Democratic Congresswoman Marie Newman. Marie Newman, in a statement, said, quote, let me be crystal clear. Yesterday's attack was the direct result of the dangerous, insightful rhetoric that Donald Trump and Republican members of the House and Senate have been spewing for months. Those members need to be held accountable, which is why I signed on to Congresswoman Cori Bush's latest resolution to ensure they will be. As for President Trump, this nation does not have the luxury of waiting 2 more weeks for him to leave office. The 25th Amendment needs to be invoked immediately. He needs to be impeached immediately. He needs to resign immediately. The safety of this country depends on it. Our nation needs to heal. It won't be done in 2 weeks, 2 months, or likely even 2 years, but I'm confident we will move on from this painful moment in our history. It will take each and every one of us working together to build a more kind, more just, and more equitable nation for all Americans.
Just to remind everybody, Marie Newman is the newly elected Congresswoman from the 3rd Congressional District on the southwest side of Chicago and into the southwestern suburbs. And she defeated the incumbent, who, of course, was young Danny Lipinski, Dino Dan. I call him young because he inherited the seat from his father, William Lipinski. And so, you know, Daddy just said, here you go, sonny boy. Much like Donald Trump seems to be ready to hand things over to baby Trump. Maybe not. You know, let me just amend that. Edit that out of the podcast, okay? I kind of feeling that Donald Trump's not ready to hand MAGA over to anybody yet. He still wants to be in charge. But, yeah, so Lipinski it's really interesting, folks. This one more time, Democratic Party. Just think about this. Marie Newman, very bold statement there. You know, she wants them impeached. She wants them removed by the 25th Amendment, and also step down. All three things, just to make sure. Okay, he's gone. So I get it. Very bold statement. She's letting everybody know where she stands on it. I appreciate that. I'm with her 100%. But I don't think Donald Dan would have done that. Oh, wow. Hold on. I don't think Donald Dan would have done that, D. How about that for alliteration, huh?
Oh, my. Tongue twisters today on the Ben Joravsky Show. I don't think Donald Dan would have done that, D.
Yeah, yep. Very good. You did it faster than I did. My name is Donald.
Whoa.
And,
oh, my God.
So I don't think Donald Dan would have done that, D. And now, would Donald Dan have voted for the objections? You know, here's the thing. We had Marie Newman on the show many times. We had folks from the 3rd Congressional. Third Congressional is actually kind of a lefty district. It went for Bernie. Went for Bernie. This is where Lipinski was hilarious. I mean, I read all these articles in the mainstream media about Lipinski. It's kind of like eulogies. Oh, the end of an era. The Lipinski era is gone. It's like you got to write that stuff. Like you really feel bad about the end of the era. And I'm like, and they always let Lipinski go, the Democratic Party has left me and become a party of extremists. Dude, your district is lefty. Your district went for Bernie over Hillary. It's not even just Bernie over Trump. It's Bernie over Hillary. Your district would probably like the Ben Joravsky Show. That's how lefty it is. And so you're so far out of the times. You're just completely incapable of just like adjusting your worldview in any way to all the changes that you were seeing. It would be like, for instance, if the host of a podcast were to just have regular boob tube as opposed to getting cable. Oh, wait a minute. Well, gee, let's edit that one out on the podcast.
See how you brought that back. That was good.
Yeah, D, I've been doing this a long time, all right? So, you got to look in the mirror sometimes. Lipinski. Anyway, I appreciate when I got that email from Marie Newman's PR guy. I don't know who sent it to me, but when I got that email, I was like nodding my head. I go, well, that's good. It's good that the 3rd Congressional finally has a representative that's more in line where the people in that district are. So come on, Marie Newman. If you're not ready to join the squad, although I did hear this, shout out to Corey Bush, recently elected from St. Louis. If you're not ready to just join the squad, at least be kind of like Bernie-like in your leftydism. Because that's where your district is.
Come on, Marie. Frank on the live stream chat, Dan Lipinski is so full of shit. Okay, enough with the cursing today, guys. Ben just... A lot of cursing going on today.
You know what? I didn't tell you this, but I woke up on New Year's. Like, why am I not cursing on the podcast? Why am I still? I'm like, I swear, when I'm not on the podcast, oh my God! When Dennis and I do the phone conversation between me and Dennis, F-bomb flying.
Well, they don't need to know this.
Oh, sorry.
We're just a friendly podcast, guys. 1 to 3.
By the way, who was it yesterday? Oh, Al Harrington. When Al Harrington, I love that interview. Al Harrington, it's like seems like another universe.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this Al Harrington interview is getting buried a little bit with all this news. We got to find a way to revive this thing.
I know. We may have to drop it this weekend again. We'll have a post-show discussion about that, D. But Al Harrington, former NBA basketball player, who now runs a cannabis company, and he was on the show. We did the interview. Was that Tuesday? Anyway, he was dropping the F-bomb left and right. I go, what is it about my show? I don't get it. I didn't even start the thing going. It's the same thing that happened to Kim Fox. She comes on the air, boom, bullshit. So I said, you know what? Forget it. I'm not on AM radio. I've been on AM radio in over 3 years. Can you believe that? It's technically over 3 years. So I'm gonna let my freak flag fly, D.
Maybe you can do like a little mute button thing, right? Like you, mother, and then hit the mute button. I don't know.
Like, want me to try that?
Yeah, give it a try.
You mother.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
How did that go?
That's pretty funny. I kind of like that.
Right. You mother. Oh, yeah, I'm really good with that mute button. We have to work that out.
No, that was good. I like it. All right. And after yesterday's events, we even saw our friends of the Republican persuasion in Illinois say enough is enough. GOP Representative Rodney Davis said the rioting and violence brought back painful memories of the congressional baseball shooting in Virginia in 2017. Rodney Davis here said, quote, political violence of any kind is never acceptable and must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Political leaders from Congress to the White House have an obligation to be voices of reason and calming in times of national crisis. That time is now.
Yeah, I mean, notice he didn't mention Donald Trump.
Right, and he brought it back to the one time with the baseball thing.
Yeah, the Bernie guy,
Yeah.
So, don't be weasels, Republicans. Don't play that weasel game. There's only one guy who incited the mob. There were no congressmen on that who called for that rally. There was one guy. Your guy. President Donnie. He did it. So say it. You know what I'm saying, D? Like, these weasel words. You want to avoid it. I know you want to do the right thing, Rodney Davis. And by the way, they're scared. They're really scared. We'll get into this a little while later, but the word has been issued. Trump has said, I'm going to primary all you guys. He's like Santa Claus, an evil Santa Claus. He's keeping a list who's been naughty and a list who's been nice. Those who dare to even criticize him will be primaried. Hear that, Mitt Romney in Utah? We're coming after you. So, Rodney Davis is like, I want a MAGA guy running against me. But on the other hand, my God, the guys with like Confederate flags and Nazis running through the hallways of Congress. That's not a good look. Kind of cutting it down the middle there, D. I'm just saying.
Oh, he said weasel words. Michael Girardi, he's on the live stream chat. Michael Girardi makes so many songs for the Ben Joravsky Show. Dude, weasel words. That's a great song title.
Yeah, weasel words. A lot of weasel words out there. Heard a lot of them last night when I was listening to the senators. Oh, God.
All
Those
right.
senators, D, I got one more time. The senators are like arguing, yes, I'm really so upset about what would happen, and I want to thank the Capitol Police for saving us. And yet I'm still going to continue this utter nonsense that motivated the mob in the first place because I am too cowardly to admit what a fool I've been. Yes, weasel words.
Also, speaking of Michael Girardi, he weighed in on Lipinski. You were talking about him earlier. He says, yeah, Lipinski's district is so lefty that one of his constituents wrote a song about TIFs. Talking about him. He wrote a song about TIFs.
It's true. Girardi's from the district. He knows. I mean, it's like, we haven't heard this kind of talk in a while, but my lefty friends like Miles and Micah would tell me, don't castigate the Trump supporters because really a lot of them are motivated by the same things that Bernie supporters are motivated by. And like Bernie can win them over. You get what I'm saying? And I think a lot in the 3rd Congressional. I bet you, believe it or not, there were people in 2016 who voted for Bernie in the primary and then turned around and voted for Trump in the election. Think about that. Put that in your pipe. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say something. Dr. Doobie, he's not Dr. Doobie anymore. He's Dr. Straight and Narrow.
Oh,
okay?
I know. That's false. I've smoked pot, all right? I haven't gone off. Hey, you want to talk about some more news?
You know what's funny? Only in the Ben Joravsky Show would you be insulted when someone says, that is so not true. I am an alcoholic. Yes, a raging alcoholic. I'm sorry, D. I interrupted you on the news. Where were you?
Yeah, all those weasel words you were having. Now to Republican Illinois Representative Adam Kinzinger. Adam Kinzinger became the first Republican in Congress to call for invoking the 25th Amendment to force Trump out of office. Kinzinger said, quote, "The president is unfit and the president is unwell. Trump must step down either voluntarily or involuntarily." I actually pulled the audio from this here. We're going to play it. Here's the video tweet from Kinzinger wearing his hip AirPods in his office, and he's obviously reading a script. Take it away, Kinzinger.
Yesterday was a sad day, as we all know. It was the day where fire stoked by the president and other leaders finally leapt out of the pit, and it lit the trees. Thankfully, the strength of our Constitution and democracy held, and we emerged today a little battered, but resolved. What happened yesterday is a wake-up call to many, but it's a call to accountability for others. In the past few presidencies, the administrations have been so concerned about even a moment of weakness that the 25th Amendment was invoked during minor surgeries, passing the duties to the vice president while the president was under anesthesia, because even for that moment to have the captain of the ship absent could cause a major catastrophe. Sadly, yesterday, it became evident that not only has the president abdicated his duty to protect the American people and the people's house, he invoked and inflamed passions that only gave fuel to the insurrection that we saw here. When pressed to move and denounce the violence, he barely did so, while of course victimizing himself and seeming to give a wink and a nod to those doing it. All indications are that the president has become unmoored, not just from his duty, nor even his oath, but from reality itself. It is for this reason that I call for the vice president and members of the cabinet to ensure the next few weeks are safe for the American people, and that we have a sane captain of the ship. Section 4 of the 25th Amendment allows a majority of the cabinet and the vice president to assume the duties of the office of presidency until the president is able to himself. It's time to invoke the 25th Amendment and to end this nightmare. We will arise from this, but we cannot forget what led us here. The liars and conspiracy authors are already at it again this morning with false narratives about yesterday's disaster. Here's the truth. The president caused this. The president is unfit, and the president is unwell. And the president must now relinquish control of the executive branch voluntarily or involuntarily. God bless you, and God bless our enduring democracy.
Yeah, find him at a virtual Bernie event this weekend, Adam Kinzinger.
All right, I'm going to get a lot of trouble with some of my best friends on this show. Heidi Henry, you know I love you, but I just think, and I understand, many of the people come on my show. I'm working very diligently to unseat Adam Kinzinger, replace him with a progressive Democrat. Danny B. ran a very good campaign in this last election. Oh my goodness, we've had so many. Neil Muhammad at one point ran. He wanted to be the congressman from the 16th Congressional. Murray Brio, another friend of this show. But he's doing the right thing. And I just feel as though not to tip my hat to a Republican who's doing the right thing would really be the wrong thing. I mean, this is a very dire time for our country. We have an insane man in the White House, and he stirred up a mob, and it was a real hate-filled mob. I mean, now they're trying to spin it. We'll get into that with a DB update. They're trying to spin it. That's what Kinzinger's getting at. Try to pretend as though it wasn't like Proud Boys and MAGA lovers in that mob. And Kinzinger's standing up. And I just feel as that we need more Republicans to do that. We cannot have every member of the Republican Party a coward like Ted Cruz, a coward like Josh Hawley, a coward like DB. Even when the Chicago Tribune's editorial board, even Johnny Cass, who is so right-wing he eats his meat raw. That didn't come out right. Could you edit that on the podcast? You know?
We've had like 5 edits so far today. Put me to work.
Even those guys. I mean, the Tribune editorial was a little weaselly. But at least they wrote it, D. I was laughing on me. You guys are such weasels. Oh, way to take a stand, guys. First, you wouldn't even endorse Hillary Clinton. Who's old boy they endorsed back? I forgot his name. The libertarian dude. I just really blanked on his name.
Gary Johnson.
Yeah, it's very good for knowing that. Tribune. Let's endorse Gary Johnson because we're just so wimpy.
Yeah, this old Adam Kinzinger here. I got a theory about this guy. I ran it by Ben before the show. I'm going to run it by all of you listening. Is Adam Kinzinger smoking some about a legal reefer? Channeling his inner hippie or what?
Hey, it's legal. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay? Now, Adam Kinzinger is turning into a Will Kazardi liberal.
Yeah.
A Will Kazardi progressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, progressives. Not lefties, progressives. We're progressives.
Word around the water cooler, Adam Kinzinger and Will Gazzardi are going to have a hacky sack, a socially distanced hacky sack competition over the weekend.
And, of course, they'll be listening to their Wilco.
Yeah.
Hey, I got this great new Wilco thing. You want to check it out? So, I got to give him some love on this one. He's really, and he's consistently come out with the tweets and the, and then I got to figure Trump's pretty popular in the 16th congressional district. So you talk about a guy who's putting his neck out. And big boy DB already said you're going to primary him. We'll get to DB in a little while, right, D? Very few Republicans who are just unambiguous about it. A lot of them, like they do the weasel words. A lot of them in that Chicago Tribune editorial board. Here's a Tribune editor. I just got to read the headline, D. Here you go. They thought they were taking a big stand with this one. They go, concede or resign, President Trump. Oh, it's 2 weeks away. And concede? What the hell? He stirred up the Tribune. It's a little late for that, don't you think? He's just spent the last, 2 months stirring up the mob, perpetuating this nonsense? Now if he concedes, all's forgotten. Bunch of cowards. Take a stand.
Wow. I just imagine your neighbors having coffee, just sitting there. Oh my God, who's yelling?
Hold on, wait.
Take a stand.
Hey, some guy in the alley. Move on.
Oh my!
I think he's some guy in the alley. He's looking up, who is that guy? Take a stand.
Is this some guy
taking a stand?
Oh, he's just taking the trash out.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
All right, now make no mistake, there are still those of the Republican persuasion out there still backing our 45th president, but thank God not for much longer, and defending Derp Nation, the Trump supporters who stormed the Capitol. Chicago Fraternal Order of Police President John Catanzara said he understood the frustration and said about yesterday's storm of the Capitol, quote, "There was no arson. There was no burning of anything. There was no looting. There was very little destruction of property. It was a bunch of pissed off people that feel an election was stolen somehow, some way."
Oh my God, Johnny C. He may be on that bus with Kazardi, listening to the Wilco tapes next. 99.9% of the Black Lives Matter protests, there was no looting. There was no destruction. There was no burning. There's people exercising their First Amendment protected right to free speech. And yet those 2 nutcases with the guns in St. Louis, remember them, D? Hey, don't come near my house. They got invited to the Republican convention. Johnny C., where were you defending the First Amendment protected rights of peaceful protesters when it was Black Lives Matter? Where were you? And by the way, someone was shot, killed yesterday. And by the way, what? Now, isn't that interesting? They just invaded Nancy Pelosi's office. Oh, that's okay. What about if they just invaded, some police department? You know what I'm saying? All right, We're a mob of like MAGA lovers with our Nazi T-shirts on, and we're going to go into this police office and just going to take it over, but we won't burn anything, okay? And we won't destroy any property, though. I don't know. I would say they destroyed, there were broken windows. Isn't that property? Well, it's not really bad property. Kinzinger. Somebody's a hippie. Isn't that funny? When MAGA goes on a rampage and smashes windows and storms past police, what about when all those MAGA guys, Johnny C., were chasing the cop up the stairs? Isn't that like assaulting a police officer? Isn't that like you're condoning that? Man, I'll tell you what, the standards are, I don't know. But I'm starting to think that the Black Lives Matter protesters may have a point. There's like two standards. When a white guy does something, it's one thing. And when a black guy does something, it's something. I'm just saying, Johnny C., I'm just throwing that out there. I would have loved to have heard such, open-mindedness on your part when it was Black Lives Matter protesters. And again, almost all those protests were peaceful. No destruction of property, no burning, no looting. You're conflating a couple things, young John. You're conflating a couple things there. Not really fair to do that. But I would say most of the Black Lives protests far more peaceful. What went down yesterday at Congress. So interesting. He's become a hippie, D. Johnny C., who knew?
Peace, man. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot has responded to Kinzinger. On Twitter, Lightfoot said, quote, "This wasn't frustration. It was a violent insurrection. The comments by John Kinzinger, Chicago FOP president, either demonstrate clear delusion or reckless disrespect for the rule of law, or both."
Yeah. Well, Lori Lightfoot's not missing an opportunity to go one-on-one with John. Hey, I don't like him either. Yeah, I don't like Kinzinger either. All right.
And for those who are wondering, I'm looking at you, Jay Marie, on the live stream chat. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot also said about yesterday's storm of the Capitol on Twitter, quote, "I am in disbelief with what is unfolding in D.C. right now. President Trump and his enablers indicted this violence. Shame on every elected official in Congress and elsewhere who fomented this anti-democratic insurrection by extremists. This is not democracy. This is a disgrace."
Incited, right? She said incited?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, all right, Lori. See, that's what I'm saying. Now, I mean, I really appreciate her saying that, but I shouldn't even say. I mean, she's not at a great political risk. You know what I'm saying? That's why I give Lauren Underwood and JB and Adam Kinzinger. I mean, but you got to say it. So you know what? I'm not gonna qualify it in any way. Got to say it, but not really taking a risk.
All right. Now back to the Illinois conservatives. We have one more piece of audio to play. It's from DB. Yes, the downstate Republican rep, Ben's boy, Darren Bailey. And honestly, I don't know what the hell dude's talking about here. Ben, maybe you can help translate this. Take it away, DB.
I have absolutely no commentary. There's nothing to be said. What's being broadcast on the airwaves is enough. We have no idea of knowing if, what part these people who have stormed the Capitol, where they stand or who they are. We don't know. But what we do know is our nation is under assault, and it's been there before, and God will rescue us.
Wow. Okay, let me help break down what's going on here. It's interesting that his comments coming right on the heels of Johnny C's comments. We'll break them down. And so there's in the aftermath of the insurrection, in the aftermath of the assault on Congress, in the aftermath of Donald Trump riling up his supporters and letting them loose on Congress, in the aftermath of all that, the MAGA had to figure out how to spin it. And I know this because I get MAGA's emails all the time, so I know like what their message is. And it's kind of hard to justify, even for MAGA, assaulting Congress. All right. So it took them a while, but then they began disseminating a new narrative. And the new narrative is that perhaps those people that assaulted Congress, that took over the Senate and the House, were not real MAGA people. Perhaps, they were Antifa. Whoa, yeah. Ooh. And so, look, you got to get it together, DB and Johnny C. You guys are on the same team. Johnny Canizera, Darren Bailey. One comes from Chicago, one comes from downstate. But you're all part of the MAGA team. So you got to get your messages together. So like I suggest, like maybe you talk it over in the morning. Have a cup of coffee. Johnny called DB, DB called Johnny. Because Johnny is saying, it's no big deal. They didn't burn anything. They didn't destroy any property, even though they did. They didn't hurt anybody, even though they were attempting to assault police officers. They did no wrong, even though they sprayed like toxic chemicals into the eyes of Capitol Police. Well, they didn't do anything wrong. Come on, guys. Just a few frustrated MAGA supporters having a little fun. What's the big deal? Now you got DB saying it was a horrible assault on everything we believe in, and only God can save us. Which is, wow. Do you think like DB would have the same attitude about like Black Lives Matter protesters or something? Only God can save us, as opposed to what? Oh, so you don't want the police to like arrest them? Why don't you come out and say that then? Well, it's just up to God. It's in God's hands. So DB is blaming that. So he's taking the narrative that it really, yes, it was horrible, but it wasn't MAGA people. We don't know who it was. It could have been Antifa. And Johnny C is taking the narrative, well, it was MAGA, but they didn't do anything wrong. So that's why I'm suggesting the two of them get together, kind of work out their stories. Like when the police arrest two people for a crime and then they separate them, they don't have time to work their stories out. Well, guys, you can get your stories together, get it on one page. Like those senators yesterday who they go, well, it's not that we have any evidence of fraud, because there is no evidence of fraud, but we believe some of these Supreme Court rulings in Pennsylvania were erroneous, and so the whole election should be thrown out. I see. You're worried about the Supreme Court ruling. So yeah, so that's going to be, we're going to hear a little bit more about that stuff, D, in the coming weeks, I'm sure. We'll be getting those emails from MAGA people saying it was really Antifa. I think that's where they're going to go with this. I don't think the Johnny C version of events where, what the hell, it's just a bunch of guys having fun, huh? It's really going to cut it, come on. They're just let me go, let the freak flag fly. What's the matter with that? I don't think that's going to work as much as, well, really what it was Antifa. So it's like, oh man, those Antifa, they're really smart. They showed up at the Trump rally and they put on they put on little MAGA hats and their Nazi shirts. You know what I'm saying? And they put on they carry Trump flags. Oh, wow, they really plotted and planned this one out. Meanwhile, DB, he sent the message to Kinzinger. We're coming after you. And that's why I don't think ultimately that Mike Pence is going to get aboard the campaign to invoke the 25th Amendment, as Kinzinger suggested, because I think he has political ambitions. And any politician who joins that effort, any Republican politician, probably is through in politics, unless they may have to switch party. Kinzinger may switch parties. Anything's possible. Could become an independent. I don't know. But it's really dangerous right now for a Republican to take a strong anti-Trump position. Look, they're threatening Mitt Romney. By the way, Mitt Romney gave a good speech last night. I never thought I would say he gave a great speech last night. I know I'm probably pissing off a lot of my lefty friends, but he gave a great speech last night. So, yeah, DB and John Kinzinger, you guys got to get it. I don't know. Get together, have lunch. You know, you guys don't believe in the pandemic, so yeah, you can have lunch together. You don't have to wear masks. You know, share a sandwich for all I care. Share a milkshake. Go ahead. But you got to get your stories together, man, because they're just all over the map.
All right, so now that we've covered our elected leaders' thoughts after all hell broke loose in D.C., coming up after our interview with Jacqui Algee, we're going to circle back to what one elected leader here in Illinois said beforehand. We can't let this one slip through the cracks. Mary Miller, you can't be serious, can you? But we're going to talk about that later on and save that for the back half. Let's end it out here with Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. Pritzker gave his COVID-19 press release on Wednesday. Oh, yeah, that's right. There's a pandemic going on as well.
The enemy is you.
Okay, that's twice now, Governor.
Oh, come on, JB. Now, come on.
Here's a quick recap of what went down. Good news. The governor announced that some regions of the state may be able to move out of Tier 3 pandemic mitigations starting January 15th.
So on January 15th, exactly one incubation period from New Year's Day, any region that has met the metrics for a reduction of mitigations will be able to move out of Tier 3 of our mitigation plan.
JB, how we feeling all about this, big guy?
I'm cautiously optimistic,
Oh,
as
good.
there are some early signs indicating that some regions have made real progress and won't reverse that progress this week or next.
Oh, I love it when you do that. I just sucker for that. It's just so old school radio.
All right, everybody, that's our local news. We're going to take a break now, and when we come back, Jacqui Algee of SEIU will be joining us. We haven't talked with her in quite some time. Ben, what do you plan on talking with that, Jacqui?
Oh, man. Well, we're definitely talking insurrection. We're talking Georgia. She's wants to talk about Mercy House. We're going to bring in a little local stuff. We are a local show, actually. It's hard to believe we're talking all national politics today. And the Women's March. Got to keep pushing, folks. Can't go to sleep. I'm going to have my favorite theme. Democrats don't fall asleep. It's going to be really hard to fall asleep, by the way, now, as opposed to when Obama was victorious. Talk about some of the lessons we learned from 2009. So we do things a little better in 2021. Good God, 12 years have passed.
All right, it's the Ben Joravsky Show. We're live from my apartment in Ben's attic. Don't go anywhere.
Just for fun, we got a feeling this mayor's the one. We want a boss who talks real tough. When we ask too many questions, we want to be told to shut up. Tax and crime and financing, we can pay for anything like shopping malls with movie screens and everything but what you need to kids who wanna eat for free. Get a fucking PhD and don't you dare complain to me if you want an opportunity. Someday we are the ones who fall in line. We've been the masochists 1,000 times. We are the ones who fall in line.
The enemy is you.
Hey, 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 woo!
absolutely no commentary. There's
We've been the magic kids 1,000 times. We are the ones who fall in line. Oh, yeah. Hey, 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 hey. We are the ones who fall in line. We've been the magic kids 1,000 times. We are the ones who fall in line. Oh, yeah. Hey, 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 hey. Woo!
Read the Chicago Reader to get up to speed on what's what in Chicago. Culture, food, arts and entertainment, weekly concert listings, weekly event listings, the environment, travel. I can continue, but you get the point. And for all of you Chicago political junkies, raw weekly columns on real city politics from Maya Dukmasova and our very own Ben Joravsky. The Chicago Reader, free to the public in newsstands throughout the city and online at chicagoreader.com. Read it now and be a more informed Chicagoan.
And now, our interview portion of the program. Benny J, take it away.
Jacqui Algee is joining us from SEIU Healthcare, and it seems she has momentarily left her computer screen. I don't know, something I said, something I did, Jacqui? She'll be. Oh, here she comes.
Hey,
There you are. How about look at me? I got a camera and everything.
I know, man.
I'm looking good. Jacqui, when she first saw me, goes, "Is that Brad Pitt?" No, I'm just kidding. I've used that joke 3 times. Every time I did. A young Brad Pitt.
Your hair was just a little shorter, but
Yeah. So, Jacqui, there's so much to talk about. Some of it good, some of it bad. And when I first booked this segment, I was like, oh, let's talk Georgia, because I was so high. I was so high on Tuesday night. I was watching those results. Warnock won, then Ossoff won. Democrats took control. It was black political power at its best. Shout out Stacey Abrams. And then yesterday, good God. So why don't we get the bad news out of the way first, and then we'll work our way up to the good news. And I talked to you yesterday in the midst of it all, Jacqui. That insurrection, people... Trump lovers with their Confederate flags and their anti-Semitic shirts and replacing the American flag with a Trump flag, smashing windows, taking over the Senate, taking over the House. Your general thoughts about what went down yesterday?
yeah, well, I mean, it was the classic demonstration of white supremacy to me. That you know, people of color were not included. They were not considered. They were not, you know, a part of. I mean, you had 1 or 2 sprinkles of people of color that were in there, but it was strictly, you know, a demonstration, in my opinion, of white supremacy. And what validates that is the non-response of the National Guard and the police presence that should have been there to keep what we saw, the travesty that we all witnessed, take place.
Go into that a little more, because I've been thinking about that a lot myself. And I believe there will be investigations. I saw a headline already. Chuck Schumer, the Democratic head of the Senate, said that the sergeant of arms will be fired as though he did something wrong. I just saw a headline. I didn't know. But in your opinion, how should yesterday have been handled? Again, Trump had been promoting this rally for weeks.
Right.
So everybody knew what was going down, and the Proud Boys have been putting it out on their internet sites, Jacqui. So everybody knew what was going down. So in your opinion, how should it have been handled?
Well, it should have been handled the similar as they did in the summer months when Black Lives Matter came to the city to peacefully protest And yet when you see the images of that, and we all, watch that in some disdain and horror, but they show images of that they have throughout last night and today as well. No comparison. You look at in June, July, when that was happening after George Floyd's murder, you had the whole city was blanketed with National Guards. The presence was there. We don't even want to talk about the number of arrests in comparison, to what the arrests that took place on yesterday. And so people were just, people were there in June and July to express how they felt as well about, and the anger and the hurt and the pain, and the, intolerance of Black lives being abused and killed and just eliminated, if you would, by police. And yet yesterday you had mobs of white people, men mostly it seemed, but women as well, I saw, and their kids too, just to, take over what is, they said, the people's building, the people's camp. Well, we're part of those people. And they took it over, and without permission and with the intent to do just what they did. And they did that because of a leader for them who said, you got the right to do that. Don't worry about it. We're going to go and take it over. In fact, he made some comments like, this is the only way to take back power.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I said if you're, you can't take back power by being weak.
By being weak. That's his exact words. That's right.
Since I've been on the air, I see these little flashes. By the way, I got to tell you this. I've already shared this with my listeners. Yeah, all this was going down when I was on the air yesterday. So, I did tell you the story. So I had Monroe Anderson on. It was Wednesday, and so I'm looking at Monroe like I'm looking at you now on my TV or my screen, and he had a TV in front of him. I was watching it in his eyes. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I could see it. It was unbelievable. And so now I've learned. So I have my little phone here, so I get updated headlines every now and then. I've seen already that Elaine Chao, who is the Mitch Mcconnell's wife and transportation secretary, stepped down from the cabinet. Nancy Pelosi has said that if he doesn't quit, or if Pence doesn't begin 25th Amendment proceedings to remove him, then she will convene impeachment, even though there's 2 weeks left. So do you have any thoughts about what should happen to one Donald John Trump?
Oh, I definitely think that the charges should be brought up to him, because he clearly orchestrated that. He not only orchestrated it, he allowed it to happen, and he didn't do anything to curtail it. Mm-hmm. And that little sorry video that he did, at the 12th hour, he could have kept. He could have kept, because it didn't, that was not a message from a leader who wanted to take control of a situation. That was a message from a leader who wanted the situation to continue as it is, as it was. Yeah. Well,
I'm a bit all over the map on this one. I'll give you my theory and get your reaction to this. Okay. I do believe that Donald Trump should be held accountable for his crimes, and I do believe he incited a riot. I'm an old guy, so I remember in 1969 when Abby Hoffman and Bobby Seale and Jerry Rubin, they concocted a case of crossing state lines to incite a riot in 1968, which really the police beating the hell out of them. And that was the Chicago 7 trial, as you know, Jacqui. And so I'm like, hey, where's that kind of law and order and vigilance today? Donald Trump did the same thing. He called on people to convene, and then he said, go take the Capitol. So I do believe he should be held accountable. On the other hand, I take very seriously MAGA as a huge force in this country. I would say close to 45% of this country is with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you kick Donald Trump out, you turn him into a martyr.
Yeah.
And I think he wants to because he's such a coward. He doesn't want to have to congratulate Joe Biden. He'd rather go out in handcuffs. So your thoughts on this, Jacqui? Is it counterproductive ultimately to remove Donald Trump from office, or should we hold him accountable? Go ahead.
No, then you raise a good point. We don't want to feed his. We don't want to feed the energy that he has amassed with his base, and by removing him, and only to incite them to do more, of those similar actions as they did yesterday, because now he's been removed. I could only imagine what that could look like in our country. And I'm not just talking about the day of inauguration. I'm talking about in general. I have real concern about this new administration coming in and their safety, the safety of just people in general, because it was clear yesterday that didn't matter. Really did not matter. And so I think he should be held accountable. I liked one thing that kind of shut him down somewhat today, and that was him not being able to do Twitter and Facebook and all that. I wish that could be something permanent. I don't know if that's legal to do, but that would, I'd be all in favor of that. And quite frankly, I wish that had been done years ago, right? He should never, as the president of our country who represents us all, have been allowed freedom of speech and not, but allowed to put out some of the trash that he's put out, and the disrespect and how he's presented himself or non-presented himself as a leader of our country. That should never have happened. So they should have been shut him down, is my point.
Well, I just have to say this. Every time I have First Amendment or freedom of speech discussions on the show, lawyers or Mr. Monroe Anderson's always correcting me, and so I've learned from them. And Donald Trump does not have a First Amendment protected right to go on to a Twitter or Facebook and make up lies about people and libel people and just distort the truth. Those are privately held venues. If they don't want Donald Trump on there, it's like me on my show. I don't have to have him on my show, and so he has a right, I suppose, to go to a park. He go to Bughouse Square on the north side of Chicago and stand on a box and give a speech. I mean, I presume he has a right to do that in a public place, but he does not have the right to do that in a private place. So I agree with you.
What else concerns me, though, Ben, and that is the generations now and those to come. So you think about all the young people of all ages, those that can either mirror or form their own coalition or campaign around the issues like the Black Lives Matter young people and others. They saw what happened yesterday too, and they're real clear that there are two United States. That's what showed up yesterday. There are two. There's the white United States, and then there's the United States of color, primarily Black people, that are not equally same. And so what kind of messages are we sending to them? It's okay if you're white, you're right, and if you're Black, you get back. It's that same old thing that's been out for years, and that is not what I'm in this fight for. I've been in this fight a long time, that, Ben, and I'm fighting because I want it to be better for us, but I certainly want it to be better for them. And that happened yesterday is not going to get us there.
Yeah, you're right, and I'll just remind everybody, as I have all day, that when Black Lives Matter protesters were marching in St. Louis, that white couple showed up with their guns out, and accused protesters were just passing by, not bothering anybody other than the powers that be,
Right.
exercising their First Amendment constitutional right to protest.
That's right.
They came out with the guns, very threatening, very provocative, and Donald Trump and the Republican Party put them in the spotlight at the Republican convention. Let them be, yeah. And so there are absolutely two standards in this country. So when that mob takes over, but Jacqui, you watch, right before the show, we were talking about this. MAGA's trying to get its narrative correct on what went down. And so they're going to start blaming it on Antifa. You watch, that's coming. They're going to get more and more. They're going to say, well, it was these guys, they inserted themselves, these saboteurs. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there already, there were, some buzz around. There was some buzz that kind of implied that late last night, I was watching TV and they were talking about how, this is not the percentage of the 79 million people that supported him. That's not who they are. They wouldn't support that. So to me already, that's like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, people don't want to be held accountable for anything. All right. You mentioned the inauguration. I personally believe, get your thoughts on this, it should be a virtual inauguration. First of all, in the middle of a pandemic. And I don't really know what's to celebrate right now. It's more like get down to business. But what's your thoughts? What about the inauguration?
Well, it hasn't changed from when you and I spoke briefly yesterday. I think personally, if they were to ask me, I'd say foregoes any kind of celebration, right? The celebration is the fact that he is no longer there. That's enough for me. I don't know about anybody else. Legally, technically, he is no longer there. So in that capacity. So I would, if I were them, I would just have a small, very private, their spouses, maybe their children, grandchildren, and do swearing in with their spouse holding the Bible. And, we all watch virtually of those that want to, and that's it. And at a later time, when our country is better or on better footing than it is right now, that we come together and acknowledge that, but that's what I would recommend.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because I don't trust, here's the thing, hey, that yesterday was enough for me to say, I don't trust them trying to do anything public. Because I kind of felt like Trump was going to do something on Inauguration Day. That's one of the bigger reasons that he hasn't conceded, because he wants to be able to hold that, or be his platform that, you mistreated, you mess with the vote, the election, and it's not real, and I'm still president, or whatever he wants to say about it. And I just think, you can't trust him. That was very clear yesterday. If you could, he would have came out. First of all, he wouldn't have been leading people to the Capitol steps and, and to, encourage them to take over, anyway. So I don't trust him. And so for those reasons, I would just do something private.
I'm with you on that one. All right. Now, when I think back to inaugurations past, I got two that are in my mind as contrasts. And one, of course, is 2009, when everybody was jubilant when Barack Obama was elected, and there were parties and the big turnout in Washington for that. And then there was the one in 2017, where so much of my lefty land where I dwell, where everybody was depressed, and it led to a tremendous women's march, which I still remember so clearly in January on inauguration. I think it was the day of, 2017. So contrast the two of them, Jacqui, in your minds, in terms of the impact that they had on the organizing and the worldview that people had in the aftermath. The party, the celebration, or the protest. Okay,
and so the party and celebration, I was honored, blessed to have worked on both of President Obama's campaigns and was able to experience the inauguration both times. And so that's a feeling like like when you've never, for me, that you have not ever felt before, and for a number of reasons, especially as it pertains to our first and so far our only Black president. So, it was really meaningful for me, and I was glad to have been a part and honored to have been a part of it. Where we slipped up was we continued to celebrate and didn't start focusing on, they were planning and plotting against him from day one, and we should have been planning and plotting as well. And as a result, Tea Party came in, they took over, and I think that, Trump certainly is a beneficiary of their them doing just that. Then fast forward to January 21st of 2017. Well, inauguration was that Friday, and we did the march that Saturday. I'm also honored to have been one of the original organizers of the march here in Chicago. And we, our goal from the beginning was people, especially women, needed to be heard. They needed to stand up for their rights. They needed to stand up for justice for them and their families, their communities. And they needed to respond to what I think had really surprised everybody. I don't even think Trump thought he was going to win. And so, you still hear women that say, I went to sleep that night and I woke up, I couldn't believe what I heard. People still are in amazement that he did. I always contend that it was stolen, but but we, when we planned the march, it was to create a space for women and their supporters and others to be able to come out to march, to protest, to just vent what they were feeling, and then the goal was to start planning how to build a movement, that it wasn't just a march. It wasn't, that we were really going to create a movement. And we've been able to do that. When we did that march on the 21st of January, 2017, we thought, based upon the responses and registration that we were getting, that we might have had maybe 70,000 people, maybe, and that was based upon, again, the registration. And so many people, women in particular, who wanted to go to DC but couldn't for whatever reason. And they also wanted to do something here to make sure that there was space for women to be included here. And I remember very vividly the chief of police coming to us and saying, "Oh, y'all not marching. You have taken over the whole downtown." It was over 250,000 women there and others then. And he showed it to us on the camera. It's like, oh my God, and so it was clear to me at that point that this could become what it should and what it has. And that's a movement and not just a moment. And so we've worked the last several years to make sure. So the year after we did, in fact, in 2018, we did 2 marches. We did one in January to say, it was a kickoff, for the interim campaigns, and that we needed people to come out and vote like they had never voted before, so we could help to get a number of women and other progressive people into Congress to look out, to do the right thing for us or with us. And so we, that the January was to get people revved up and, get yourselves ready because we're going to march to the polls. Well, that one ended up being bigger than the one before. We had over 300,000 women, and that was amazing. And then in October, we did March to the Polls, where we focused on young people and first-time voters, and that worked out really, really well. And so since then, we've just been planning marches and doing. This year, we did something, obviously, because of COVID, we did something that was more internal, different, but it still was good because we had march activities. We did Women's March Chicago, as well as another group of women's marchers did actions downtown and on the south side. And then we also had a virtual Zoom to the Polls March, which was awesome. So, the women are still, and I would imagine after yesterday, I'm going to be meeting with them to start putting our plan together in terms of a response to yesterday, as well as our plan for this upcoming year, these first 100 days.
Is there, so do you have something specific you want to announce in terms of marches that'll be happening in the next couple of weeks, or has that not been finalized yet?
That has not been finalized. I know one thing that we have talked about is, and this is something that President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris has put out there, is do a day of service. So we're talking about joining them to do that. What that's going to mean, I don't know. So as soon as I know, I'll let you know, but I don't know.
All right. Well, one of the things that emerged, I believe, from the energy in 2017 is what went down in Georgia last Tuesday. And I said, it feels like 20 years ago. I was so excited in the aftermath. But it was pretty significant and a little, and I think you've got to talk about it. We have to talk about it. We cannot let it pass. Raphael Warnock, black man elected statewide in Georgia, statewide. And he didn't push back. He didn't hold back. He was a progressive. He let his free flag fly. You know what I mean? And Ossoff, the kid, the young man, he got elected statewide, which was pretty amazing. And it all started with Stacey Abrams, in my humble opinion. She lost very bitter, tough race in 2018, still stings, and she just got herself up. Jacqui, Algee, she said,
She did.
I'm not quitting, and she came back hard.
That's right.
It was a tremendous victory. Talk about it.
She is amazing. I wish we could clone her. She, to be honest with you, when President-elect Biden was trying to make his mind up who he would choose as his running mate, it was Kamala and her for me, so either way would have been okay for me. I'm certainly fine with the choice that he made, but I just see such promise and future for her. She, now, going back to a Women's March. So Women's March has been or did do a lot of work with her in 2018 with her campaign. And when I say Women's March, Women's March Chicago is an affiliate of March On. March On is a national women's march organization. And we have a youth arm to our organization. It's called Future Coalition. And so between the two of those organizations, we went down to Georgia and just did a lot of work during that election period. We did bus tours and all kinds of stuff, canvassing, door knocking, et cetera. Well, we did the same thing for this runoff election. And I'm really proud of what we did, but we certainly could not have done it without the leadership and guidance and just example of Stacey Abrams and people like her that were on the ground and doing the work every day.
Now, Jacqui, I have to admit, of confession time, I'm not going to rewrite history. I didn't think the Democrats were going to win, both of them. I think, well, maybe one. I just was so used to the South being Republican since since George Wallace. Did you think the Dems were going to win, or?
I did, and I'll tell you why. And you should know this about me by now, Ben. I'm a woman of faith, and I claimed it. I prayed about it. I claimed it, and I felt like it was the time. I felt like here's the thing. So when I talked about the women's groups that were helping to support and do support there, I'm part of a coalition. It's called Women to Win, and we did fundraising. We're a nationwide organization or coalition, and so we did fundraising, and so we were able to get both candidates to come and speak to us. I was really impressed with them. I had heard both of them speak, obviously on TV and other opportunities, but this was a smaller, select group of people. And it seemed to me like you saw the real them. Not that they were pretending to be otherwise any other time, but you know how you just like me and you talking now, you're a little more laid back than if I was talking to 100 people. So I was really impressed with them and their purpose for running. And they were, they spent time talking to us about that. And so from that point on, because we even had a couple people, women in our coalition, who were like, oh no, maybe, they need a little this, maybe they need a little that. You know how women are. We just know, and you got the legal people, the attorneys, the this and that, everybody, they know, stuff. And I think that they were impressed with them afterwards too. It's like, oh, they got this. So once we had that meeting with them, I was like, oh yeah, we started. My sister and I did postcards. We had a little plan. I think I told you about this yesterday. We wrote the postcards out. We took them to the post office, put stamps on them, and then I put them in an overnight to my cousin in Atlanta. And then she postmarked them from there. And, we just had plans. And I did kind of threaten my family. You better make sure everybody that's related to me, you better make sure that they're voting. But anyway, yeah. So, it's just, I felt like they would win. I'm so proud and thankful that they did. I think it's just time. People are tired of this same old stuff, and that's what they represented, Purdue and Kelly. That's what they represented to me, the same old, And so if we want to do different, we gotta, make different happen. You can't, do the same thing and expect different outcomes, right?
Absolutely. And I've got to tell you, I went from such a mood swing because in the aftermath of Tuesday's victory to Wednesday's insurrection, I was like, is this the same country? Is this the same me? Is this the same day? It's like out of the Twilight Zone.
But I think about that too. That's part of his plan too. I think, all of that was him making sure even that got squashed, because of all the mess that happened yesterday. He is the master distractor.
Yeah.
If we've learned anything with these 4 years, he is a master distractor.
Yeah. And that's why I urge, before we move on to close with some local stuff, that's why I urge, Jacqui, that people listening to this, take your advice to heart. And you can't do what we did in 2009, go to sleep.
Nope.
I know it was a great thing when Barack Obama won. I was excited as everybody else, but we went to sleep. And we have now paid for it in 12 years, 11 years of this stuff, Jacqui.
Yeah.
We're going to sleep.
That's right.
So anyway, let's hope we lefties, liberals, progressives, whatever we are, have learned our lesson. All right, let's close with a little local stuff. You wanted to talk about what the movement going down at Mercy Hospital, please.
Yeah.
Let everybody know.
We got a coalition, the Chicago Health Care Equity Coalition, and it's comprised of a number of labor organizations, doctors, nurses, our community-based organizations who are definitely on the ground doing the work every day, and so many of their members, and supporters not only live in the area, but they use Mercy, as a healthcare provider. And so it's just unconscionable how anyone could think of closing a healthcare facility like Mercy, with the history that Mercy has, and I'm talking about the good part. Now, we can talk about things that are not so good in all our healthcare system, because we should be embarrassed, because we got the worst healthcare system in the world to be the wealthiest country in the world. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, we started, I guess, back in August, started having, some action speak outs about Trinity, who is the group that owns Mercy, wanting to close or threatening to close Mercy. And it's like, this makes no sense. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Well, we got a few pandemics going on. I feel about that. We got the pandemic of COVID. We got the pandemic of racism. We got the pandemic of injustices. But anyway, so
only the first pandemic is the one that a hospital can help you with, though. But yeah, I get your point.
Can help you with, right? Yeah. And so you got people that need hospital services, whether it's COVID related or otherwise, and you're going to shut them down. Mm-hmm. Most of those people cannot go to U of C, pull up, in the driveway and the valet and jump out and go get taken care of. Similarly with Northwestern, they can't pull up there and go. They might get stabilized, but that's as far as it goes. They need Mercy. Mercy Hospital is needed in this community. And so we've been working we have biweekly actions and events. We've been working with elected officials. We got people who, and we've got national attention. So our thing is to not just focus on Mercy itself, but the healthcare inequities that exist in the Black and Brown communities at large. And we want to fix that, yeah.
Well, I'm old enough to remember when Michael Reese was still in operation, which is right up the street for Mercy. Michael Reese, the city allowed Michael Reese to be closed. Then they abetted it by choosing it as the site for the Olympics. Mm-hmm. And they tore it down. And they go, well, don't worry. I remember at the time, we got Mercy. Don't worry, we got Mercy. I remember that's what the dailies people were saying. And now they're getting ready to close that down. And I guess when the neighborhood, quote unquote, changes officially, then they'll put a hospital back. It's like public schools. When the neighborhoods, when the moving Black people out of a neighborhood, they close the public school, put up a charter. And then when the neighborhoods officially change, close the charter, put in a real public school. Yeah. That's how it goes in Chicago, Jacqui, Algee.
Well, one of the things that we were able to do, and that's from the incredible work that this coalition has done the last several months, was to get unanimous vote from the board, county board, against closing it. Mm-hmm. But that's a Band-Aid, because they can still, they got another big hearing coming up on the 26th of January. So we're getting prepared, so because we don't intend on, what we intend to do is to get the governor and others, the governor, lieutenant governor, other people to that are in leadership and have some, power of influence, if you would, to help to convince Trinity not to close. That's one thing. But then the other thing, not to close Mercy, but then the other thing is to, there are a couple of offers to purchase Mercy. And, we need, first of all, we need a moratorium on closures of hospitals, safety net hospitals and hospitals in the Black and Brown communities. And as far as it's related to Mercy, we need to take advantage of, these offers to purchase it, so that we can keep it open and revive it and bring it back to not only where it was, but certainly better than it was.
All right, very good. Well, we'll be following that one. Jacqui, before I let you go, I want to give a special thank you to you. At the start of every show, we mention our sponsors. And so we mentioned the Chicago Reader. We mentioned the Federation of Labor, young Bob Ryder, big good friend of the show. We're going to add a new one, SEIU Healthcare, Jacqui Algee. And thank you. James Muhammad, stop hiding behind it. He likes to hide behind the camera like he's the man behind the thing. Everybody dangles from his strings. And Greg Kelly, thank all three of you. So Dennis will be redoing the intro, and we'll be giving you guys the shout out that you deserve. So thank you very much from everybody at the Ben Joravsky Show, which is just me and Dennis. But anyway,
That's awesome. And I know our president, Greg Kelly, is going to be glad to hear that. He was very much in support, of this partnership. And so we look forward to just all the possibilities that we have going forward.
A lot of them. Greg Kelly. Yeah, Greg, we're bringing you back on the show. Going to get you a Bears update. Greg Kelly knows what we're talking about. Big sports fan. One of the big sports fans in labor is Greg Kelly. Anyway, Jacqui Algee.
Yes. Oh, yes, he is.
Yes. Who was the first one? I mean, I always say this. I think he gets irritated. I don't really care. When the Bears drafted Mitch Trubisky, Greg Kelly put it on his Facebook wall. Why did they draft this guy? And every Bear fan knows that, like, there were so many better quarterbacks, but they were black guys. The Bears got issues with black quarterbacks. And Greg Kelly sounded the alarm on that one early on. So, all right, Jacqui, take care. Stay safe and sound. We'll talk to you real soon.
You and Dennis, you take care. Stay safe.
All right, that's great, Jacqui Algee. D, you got any updates for me?
Yeah, hold on. The newsroom's flagging me down here. Hold on a second. Yeah, they're sponsors now. Yeah, I know. Do you have a story? No. Okay, no story. Yeah, SEIU are sponsors now. It's true. Wear a tie tomorrow.
Oh, God, if all these unions see the working conditions of our newsroom, they'll pull their sponsorship.
I know. We need to rethink that camera. All right. Two things before we close it down. Let's do the back half. First off, Mary Miller, who the hell are you? And you said what again?
God.
Mary Miller. She's an Illinois representative from Oakland, a small town in southeast Illinois. Ben, I looked it up, actually, about Oakland. Take a guess at the population of Oakland, Illinois.
314.
A little higher, 854.
Oh, wow. Yeah, population boom there.
Yeah, big boom. Mary Miller spoke at the Moms for America Saving the Republic rally outside the nation's capital on Tuesday. Miller earlier, before all hell broke loose, Miller announced she was joining with other Republicans in objecting to Congress and popular and electoral votes. At the rally, Miller said, quote, "Each generation has the responsibility to teach the next generation. If we win a few elections, we're still going to be losing unless we win the hearts of our children. It's the battle." All right. Quote, "So far, so good." In the clear. We're good. Until, quote, "Hitler was right on one thing, that whoever has the youth has the future. Our children are being propagandized."
All right. We talked about this briefly yesterday. And Mary Miller, I'm going to give you some advice. Okay? If you want to, I don't even want to say if you want a career in politics. If you just want to go through life being a decent human being, I think you would just think. Just take a moment to pause and think before the two words, "Hitler's right," emerge from your mouth. I know you're probably thinking, but no. I had a larger point I wanted to make. No. Hitler, of course, was the leader of Nazi Germany. Was responsible for millions and millions of death, tried to wipe out Jews and gypsies. set up concentration camps, fed people to their death. I don't think there's anything right about Hitler. Now, like, the man lived a long time, or I don't know. I forget how many years Hitler lived. He didn't live that long. So maybe there was one sentence you pluck in there that, I don't know, resounds in your head somewhere, but it's like you kind of look at the whole thing, Mary Miller, the whole life. Oh, but Ben, I really love this one sentence you said. But you know what I'm saying? Just like, gotta have discipline, Mary Miller. Now, here's the scary thing. What if she thinks, like, he really was right? You know what I'm saying? That's the really frightening thing. You know what I'm saying, Dave? Like there's more to it than that. And Pat Whalen, dear friend of the show, and Frank, I want to thank both of them, sent me updates about this. Congresswoman Mary Miller's updates, her statement, and it shows she's clarifying her statement. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. You said Hitler is right. Now you're going to clarify it, as opposed to just denouncing it. Congressman Miller's statement, this comes from her press secretary, I guess, was a denunciation of evil dictators' efforts to re-educate young people and similar efforts by left-wing radicals in our country today. No, it was nothing like that. And stop equating Hitler to left-wing radicals, whatever that means. There's no one in the United States on the left remotely resembling Hitler in any way. See, I think that's even more dangerous if that what you believe, what you profess to believe, is more dangerous than what you blurted out when you said, quote, Hitler's right. Like, if you think that somebody on the left is the equivalent in this country right now, is the equivalent of a man who tried to exterminate whole groups of people, who set up a death machine in this country to destroy, like, anybody dared to disagree with him and anybody who felt was subhuman, then you got a problem. And I learned this, I've learned this over the years. Even if I dislike someone of the conservative persuasion or some of the regular Dems I really have irritations with at the city council and Democratic mayors, don't compare him to Hitler. Because it's like, that's an extreme. And we should always try to learn from that extreme. And, I remember, I've been at times I've thought about making a joke about it. I'm like, it's not really that funny and it's not really fair to anybody. And I remember Mick Dumke, my dear friend, who was for a while was my editor. We used to talk about never make Hitler comparisons. It's just so far. But the Republican Party's lost its freaking mind. It's like it's moved so far to the right. It's so full of itself and so full of self-righteousness. It can never admit that it's wrong. And so this summer, we had protesters, as you recall this, Dee, we had protesters who would show up protesting against Pritzker, and they would have swastikas, and they would have signs quoting Nazi slogans. And in their own twisted way, they were trying to say that Pritzker was a Nazi. Pritzker's Jewish. Pritzker had family members who died in the Holocaust. It's really offensive to do that. And the only guy, significant Republican that I can remember who denounced that was Jimmy Durkin. I got to give him credit. See, it's when a Republican, the party is so wretched, but when they do something right, you got to give their guy credit. And so, just like I give Kinzinger credit, I got to give Jim Durkin credit for that. DB, Darren Bailey, he didn't believe it. Same old thing. Same thing he's doing now with the Trump supporters, the mob that took over Congress. He's saying, I don't really know that they're MAGA. So that's the kind of denial the Republican Party is. They've gone so far to the right, and they never want to admit they're wrong. They want to perpetuate the notion that they're victims. And so, you know what, Mary Miller? You should have just owned up to it. You should have said, man, I screwed up. And man, that was really terrible of me. And I'm going to learn from my mistakes. Maybe go visit a Holocaust museum or something. I don't know. Make amends. Be a mensch. No, double down. You know what? This is the only thing I have in common with the fair map people. The fair map people who believe that we should rearrange the political boundaries of our districts in Illinois in order to make sure that there's not this extreme partisan gerrymandering going on. And that extreme partisan gerrymandering allows people like Mary Miller to be elected by appealing to the worst instincts of right-wing Republicans and then just feeling no compulsion to admit that she's wrong, because she knows she can go as far right as she can as long as she remains loyal to Trump and MAGA, and she'll get reelected. If you had a map that was more integrated, so to speak, in terms of different people of different political points of view, she couldn't get away with that. So I agree with the fair map people on that point. I just think it should be across the board. Every state in the union have it. So yeah, D, I don't know. I can't say I was disappointed, because that would suggest that I would be surprised, but it hurt. And she should know better. And people in the Republican Party, if there was anything resembling leadership in the Republican Party in Illinois, if they weren't such a joke, their whole focus is to go after Michael Madigan so they could destroy unions. If there was anything like leadership in the Republican Party, they would call her on the carpet and make her pay for it. But I don't know. Apparently, the Republican Party is so chicken that they won't take a stand on this one, Dean.
Well, believe it or not, Mary has gotten a little pushback from her comments. On to Jan Schakowsky. She told the Chicago Sun-Times, quote, I think she should resign. She definitely should be condemned. Republican representative, but I don't know for how much longer, Adam Two Joints Kinzinger. Remember my theory. I think Kinzinger is enjoying that recreational reefer these days, bringing out his inner hippie. Kinzinger said, quote, I outright condemn this garbage. Representative Jesus Chuy Garcia said Miller's comment was, quote, despicable. Freshman Representative Marie Newman, we talked about her earlier, she said the remark was, quote, disgusting. Representative Brad Schneider, Democrat out of Illinois, said, quote, no leader, and especially a member of Congress, must ever invoke Hitler as a model of anything other than pure evil, and that Miller must apologize to, quote, her constituents and all who honor the memory of the millions murdered by Hitler and the Nazis. The rest of the Illinois Democrats, Robin Kelly, Bobby Rush, Danny Davis, Mike Quigley, Sean Casten, Danny Davis, Raja Krishnamurthy, Bill Foster, Lauren Underwood, and Sherry Bustos joined others in a group statement condemning her repugnant comment, saying she left a, quote, black mark on the state of Illinois.
Yeah, well, just Kinzinger. I think I saw Tim Schneider, Republican head of the party, issued a statement or something. Kinzinger was the only one who was forceful about it. The Republican Party is a disgrace right now, absolute disgrace. So, she's going to get away with it. She's defiant about it. So everybody you name with all those strong comments, were Democrats. It's like, they're all Democrats. We're the Republicans. Tribune's going to work their way up to writing an editorial one of these days. We'll get around to it. We're very busy. We got another 10 Madigan editorials to write. Say what you will about Madigan. I can't recall Michael Madigan ever putting those words together, Hitler and right. Okay, just say it. I realize the bar is low. I don't think Kim Foxx has ever done it. I think Tribune will write 5 more anti-Kim Foxx editorials before they finally get it together. Take a stand against MAGA. I'm kind of nervous. she's got a point. I love the Volkswagen. Yeah, I'm just saying, I love the Volkswagen. Great car. There was a kid in high school who would had this weird thing for the Nazis. Oh. I think I may have mentioned this to you once, Dee. This guy, I went to high school with him. Sometimes I ate lunch with him. And I've now come to realize he's it's kind of perverse, his love for the Nazis. And he'd be studying the battles of World War II. And everybody called me Benny. Benny, Rommel was a genius. Say what you will about Hitler, but Rommel, that was a general in the Nazis. He was a genius. And then he would oh my God, I can't believe I'm having this memory. He would set up potato chips on a plate on his tray to as soldiers in the army. And he would be trying to show me on the tray, the great strategic genius of the German. I remember the Battle of the Bulge. It wasn't Rommel, it was different generals, but he was explaining the Battle of the Bulge to me. He would crush the potato chips to show how the Germans were crushing American soldiers. I'm like, dude, I think you need help here.
Ben, I don't know if you followed up on this guy or not, but rumor has it he lives in Oakland, Illinois.
That is correct.
Anyway, so you got... I don't know. Some people got this weird thing for the Germans and the Nazis. Some of those, I hate to say it, Donald Trump, some of your supporters, some of the mob that ransacked Congress yesterday, according to Johnny C. of the Fraternal Order of Police, just a bunch of good guys having fun, huh? Hey, come on, huh? Who hasn't done that in their life? You know what I mean? Go ransack Congress. Go sit in somebody's office. It's not your office. Go smash some glass. Go chase a police guy down the hall. Who hasn't done that once in a while? Come on, lighten up, huh? Just a bunch of good guys having fun.
I have absolutely no commentary. There's nothing.
Okay, we've had enough of you, Darren Bailey. That's it for today, pal.
All right, remember I told you, DB, Johnny Canizera, tomorrow, meet, have coffee, come to a decision as to what your narrative is and get it out. They might as well invite Mary Miller, okay? And she'll be wearing lederhosen because she loves Germans.
And finally, a story we've been trying to talk about all week. But, chaos, MAGA, what are you going to do? Now, as most of you know, right now, there is a bus parked outside and waiting. A bus full of Democratic leaders in Illinois. A bus ready to figuratively roll over our long time Illinois House Speaker, Michael Joseph Madigan. That's the bus right there. Now I've been on board and hanging out on this bus for about 2, maybe 3 months now, all right? Ben, he's been back and forth. I think he's on the bus right now at the moment. I can't tell. Ben, are you on or off? You said something earlier. What are you on or off?
I'm off. Until I see the Republican Party in Illinois denounce Mary Miller for her love poem spoken word to Hitler, I'm off that bus.
All right, well.
I'm sorry. I'm off the bus.
Get your ass off the bus.
Oh, I kind of like it on the bus.
You're out.
Will Casardi was playing me his Wilco tapes.
I know, they're really good. By the way, Madigan is on the ropes and still not stepping down. He plans on running for re-election, and he plans on winning. And right now, oddly, it seems like the strategy from Madigan is to convince everyone that's on this bus at the moment that we're somehow racist for not supporting the speaker. That's not true, everyone. I mean, there are a lot of white people on this bus. I see what he did there. But, Ben, one thing I have noticed, and now that he mentions it, but one thing I have noticed about this bus, Ben, while it's nice to have all these Caucasian Democrats on board and ready to move on, I have noticed that none of these Democratic elected leaders have asked to actually drive the bus. None of them have announced that they want to be the new speaker. That was until this week, until Illinois State Rep Ann Williams announced her interest in becoming the next Speaker of the House in Illinois. Williams announced it on social media and attached a press release. The Ann Williams press release said, quote, "I believe I am the right person to lead as we shape the next chapter of the House Democratic Caucus. Our already significant fiscal challenges and economic disparities have only been amplified due to COVID and the economic fallout. We need an experienced, pragmatic leader who can unify our caucus and build a bridge to the future. I will lead the House Democratic Caucus collaboratively with integrity, open communication, and respect for the voices of all Illinoisans.
I believe this is a moment of what I call full disclosure. Full disclosure. Ann Williams is my state rep. Hey.
There we go.
I may have to get back on that bus, D.
Come on.
That's my state rep.
Come on, I won't tell anybody.
I'll do a twice in like 5 minutes.
Yeah. And I know that you were just off the bus and you're back on, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to charge you. Thank you.
God. Do you think the Tribune's going to do a Gary Johnson?
I got a feeling boy yoing means something different over at the Tribune, but
so Ann Williams, and I saw that my state rep Kathleen Willis is also announced that she plans to run against Madigan. The way it works, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about this a lot in the coming days. I believe it's this Friday that good God, it's tomorrow. I've lost track of time. With the insurrection, I've lost complete track of time, D. I think tomorrow they'll be convening and they'll meet. Lord knows when they're going to get this decision as to be speaker. You got to get 60 votes. Right now, I think Madigan's got 45, I think, committed to. I've lost track of doing this off of memory. It doesn't have 60. And I don't know how he's going to get 60 because 19 or so Dems have said there's no way they're going to vote for him. I've really butchered the numbers, D. It's been so long since I had the conversation. The point is he doesn't have 60, all right?
Oh, boy. Daniel Biss, please stop listening if you are.
Daniel Biss right now. Ben, I'm running for mayor of Evanston. I really don't want to get involved in this.
Daniel Biss, well, I've never heard these numbers been butchered.
No wonder. They couldn't. He was socially promoted out of Evanston High School. The kid can't add. I am Ann Williams, my state rep. I've already reached out to her, get her on the show. I caught me off guard. I didn't think Ann was going to do it. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out. They'll just keep caucusing and voting until someone has 60. And I don't know how this. D, I can't predict this one at all. I'm just going to be sitting back, much like I was last night when I was sitting back watching my boob tube and the exploits of our senators and congressmen. I'll be doing the same, probably not on the boob tube, on my little phone here to see how this plays out.
Once again, our podcast host in the year 2021, calling it the boob.
But you know what? If Ann Williams is victorious, that means my state rep will be Speaker of the House, and that makes me more important, D. Okay? So I think you're going to have to start wearing a tie to do the show. Okay?
I just told the newsroom to wear a tie. I guess I got to wear one, too.
Yes.
Hold on a second. Yeah, they're sponsors now. SEIU. Do you have a story? No. Okay.
Yeah. Make sure to keep that door closed whenever we have a union person on the show.
Shout out to the SEIU for being sponsors. That's awesome. The newsroom's real excited, apparently.
Yeah, so we'll be following this Michael Madigan story. You know that. We'll be following it obsessively in the upcoming days.
So there you are, everybody. Remember, you can download previous Ben Joravsky shows, Benny J bonus interviews, and so much more at the Chicago Reader website, chicagoreader.com, and wherever else you download your favorite podcasts. Over 800 episodes of the Ben Joravsky Show for you to check out, okay? If you listen on the download, check us out on the live stream sometime. Tuesdays through Fridays, 1 until 3 p.m. Central Time, and join the live stream chat. Hang out with the people we mentioned on the show, Brianna, Jay Marie, Michael Girardi, Jim, Frank, and so much more. The Ben Joravsky Show live, Tuesdays through Fridays, 1 until 3 p.m. Central Time. Find us on social media at Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Send us an email, bennyjshow@gmail.com, and you can always call us. That's right. We have a phone number, 708-658-4788.
That is correct.
That number again, 708-658-4788. We'd love to hear from you.
I want to thank Jacqui Algee. She did an outstanding job, as she always does. And, of course, I want to thank the man, the myth, the legend, the pride of Jordan, Illinois, without whom the show would be possible. And as DB, Darren Bailey, and Johnny Canizero will tell you, the one thing they agree on, they may not have figured out their narrative for what went down.
Why are you putting me with these guys?
The one thing they agree on is that back home at home, they call him Dr. D. Give yourself a raise, take it out of petty cash. See you tomorrow, everybody.
That is correct.